Let's go diving. Sun diving. Come quick, strap in. Where are we going? Our destination is the heart of the sun, down through the layers, into the heat and pressure, 500,000 kilometers straight down to the origin of the light that powers all life on Earth. Why, you ask? To understand all the counterintuitive facts about our parent star. Okay, but why do we need to go sun diving? No more questions. Please comment, like and subscribe. Thanks. Technically, the heliosphere, a solar system engulfing bubble of magnetized particles, is the outermost limit of our sun. It extends way beyond the planets, cocooning us from interstellar radiation. But it's not what we really think of as being the sun. We hover above the corona, plausibly where the main bulk of the sun starts. Off to the right, an arcing solar flare erupts, stretching out from the surface for a distance dwarfing the Earth. The highly charged plasma flies out at 100 kilometers per second, but from our distance, it seems to move in slow motion. A coronal mass ejection. If the Earth is in its path, it's bad news for electronic communications. The immense sun stretching out below us broils in heat. The corona, no, not that corona, is the wispy outer edge of the sun, where we are now. It is extremely hot, paradoxically, mysteriously so. The corona can reach over 1,000,000 degrees centigrade, much hotter than the layer of the sun immediately below, which is a few thousand degrees Celsius. It is thought that extremely strong magnetic fields carry energy into the thin corona, heating it up. Our impossibly heat-resistant spacesuits have no issue dealing with this, and our visor blocks enough light to see the details in the sun, so we're not blinded. We can see the cell-like features covered in hair-like ejections of material. The sun is almost alive. We start sinking down into the atmosphere, and we turn our attention to the dark sunspots looming beneath our feet. With our current heading, we will fall through the penumbra, the border area between the darker, cooler umbra of the sunspot and the rest of the sun's surface. We're falling at quite a pace now. The sun pulls us down with a gravitational force nearly 28 times that of Earth. But as long as we don't collide with anything, we won't feel this force. We're effectively weightless, and we won't collide with anything. The top layers of the sun are extremely thin, even compared to the Earth's atmosphere. There's no anything to crash into. Overall, the sun is a quarter as dense as the Earth, but most of the mass of the sun is concentrated far below the surface, so the upper layers are even thinner than that. Right now, as we pass from the corona, through the chromosphere and into the photosphere, what plausibly could be called the true surface, the material is orders of magnitude less dense than our atmosphere. It's barely there at all. Some larger stars are so thin that it's theoretically possible for rocky planets to orbit intact under the surface of them. The photosphere is where most of the light we see from the sun on Earth originates. The sunspot we are falling through is an area that is cooler than the surroundings, caused by magnetic currents blocking heat convecting to the surface from below. They only seem dark in contrast to the rest of the sun. What is down there? Dipping our toes in. The sun is made of hydrogen plasma. Plasma is a gas that is heated so high that the electrons, which normally orbit the atomic nucleus, can escape and fly around freely. It's so hot that it glows. All this heat is generated in the core and commutes outward by different means as it escapes. Below the surface, we enter the convection layer. Huge convection currents carry hotter plasma to the surface, where they radiate heat out. As it radiates, it cools, and as it cools, it sinks. These convection currents are like conveyor belts, ceaselessly cycling heat from the base to the surface and then sinking back down. Much weaker convection currents power air currents and storms in our atmosphere. The roofs of these convection currents give the sun this granular or cell-like appearance. They evolve over a timescale of a few minutes. As we drop through the convection zone, we are buffeted around by these cycling currents. Continuing to fall, the density of the plasma around us rapidly increases. A third of the way to the very centre, the density is approaching that of liquid water. We can still fall, but we are feeling noticeable resistance. Or at least we would if we were obeying the laws of physics in any meaningful sense. falling further. We pass a boundary, a thin region where the sun transitions from behaving like a liquid to more like a solid in how it rotates. On the surface, we notice sunspots at different latitudes won't revolve around the sun together as the surface of the sun behaves like a liquid. It remains like this until the bottom of the convective zone, where it abruptly starts to spin like a solid. In a solid, everything revolves with the same angular velocity, together as one. This tachocline layer is one of enormous shear forces from the friction of materials above and below tearing past each other. This enables some truly massive magnetic forces, totally distorting the computers strapped to our forearms. Passing through the bottom of the convection currents, we enter the radiative zone. Here, immense radiation carries heat from the core in the form of gamma rays, ultra-energetic electromagnetic waves. Good thing our suits have impossibly perfect shielding, as gamma radiation, even in minute doses compared to what we are experiencing now, would fry us from the inside out. Into the deep. Gamma rays travel at the speed of light. From the sun, light travels the 150 million kilometers to Earth in around 8 minutes. But in the radiative zone of the sun, gamma rays can take hundreds of thousands of years to pass through. By now, the density of the particles is so high that light can only travel a tiny distance before being absorbed or reflected by a particle. Trace the path of a gamma ray photon and you see a random, infinitely crooked path from the core. Most of the energy the sun creates is in the form of electromagnetic radiation, like these gamma rays, but some of the energy is emitted in the form of neutrinos, particles that are so inert and tiny that they can stream through all the layers of the sun and yourself like it isn't even there. Check out my video on neutrinos to see how, without them, our lives would be very different. As the gamma rays chaotically pass through the radiative zone, they cool considerably. The outer edge of this zone is 1.5 million degrees Celsius, increasing as we drop. At the inner edge is approaching 7 million degrees. Not all stars have radiative zones. In much smaller stars, which are also much cooler, the convective zone can extend all the way down to the core. This allows all the material in these stars to mix over their lifetime. Therefore, small stars can make better use of the material, fuel, that comprises them. This is part of the reason that smaller stars live longer than larger stars. In fact, Proxima Centauri, our nearest star, which is puny compared to our Sun, will still be largely the same in 4 trillion years. Our Sun will explode in less than 1/1000th of that time. Destination Core. Every 3 months, the core of the Sun loses the mass equivalent to all the humans on Earth. This mass is literally turned into energy, energy which we battled against getting down here. When a campfire burns, all the mass of that wood is turned into gas. If you really had the time and energy, you could track down all the mass and it would totally account for all the mass seemingly lost from burning. This is not true of the Sun. In a sense, the mass it loses has been deleted from the hard disk of the universe. The core starts roughly 500,000 kilometers below the surface, or the distance of 40 Earths put side to side. Here, a third of the mass of the Sun is compressed into less than 1% of its volume. The immense pressure we experience here is the result of all that mass pushing down from above. It causes the fusion reaction, which in turn releases heat, pushing temperatures north of 15 million degrees Celsius. The Sun is in a balance between the pressure pushing inwards, caused by the mass, and the outward pressure from the fusion reaction. If you were to add more mass to the Sun, it would crush the core to a greater degree. Fusion would increase, pushing the matter of the Sun back out. If you were a cosmic fireman and you tried to put out the Sun with your astronomical hose, you'd only make it hotter. According to astronomers, your body is mainly made of metal. For an astronomer, any element that wasn't around at the formation of the universe is a metal, meaning only hydrogen and helium aren't metals. All other materials were formed in the cores of stars, or the collisions of stars. Fusion pushes atoms together, forming heavier ones and releasing energy. One of these heavier atoms is carbon, of which your body is comprised. Our Sun is generally only creating helium through fusion. is not heavy enough or in the correct stage of its life to generate carbon and other elements. That said, our Sun has trace fractions of all the elements we see on Earth, which were there when the Sun was formed. These elements get in the way of fusion, slowing the process and extending the Sun's life. In fact, the Sun has enough gold, for instance, to fill all the oceans on Earth. But let's not forget the Sun is enormous, which means gold only accounts for a tiny fraction of a percent of the Sun's mass. And I mean, that's why I'm down here. I don't know about you. We've made it. We drift to the very centre of the Sun. Coming to a standstill, we feel no gravitational force. At the centre of any planet or star, all the mass around us cancels out, and if we take the leap and ignore the incredible pressure and heat, we will be able to float around like we're in outer space. Thanks for joining the journey. Hope you learned something. Don't worry about me. I'll be making my own way back. Cheers.